Hey, this is the third video of our series JDBC and JPA internals. Today we will understand what is connection pool and how it helps in performance optimization, and we will also code through with connection pool and without connection pool and see the benchmark also in the end, means how much it takes for 100 queries to run with connection pool and without connection pool. And before starting and understanding the whole process, we will understand what is connection pool. Okay, let's assume it like this. You have a database, okay, and this database, and you have one application. And what you are doing, you are just, whenever you need some data, you go to the database, build a connection, and then ask for the data. Means let's suppose SQL select star something. Okay, so this is how we are making. So you can understand it. It is an application layer. This is a database layer. Whole different machine it is, and you are asking for the connection. Well, first building the connection and then asking for the data. And building a connection is very heavy operation that is assumed and seen in the software engineering world. So what you can do to resolve this issue, what people did, they built a concept of connection pool. So what does connection pool does actually? So it is, first of all, understand it, it is on application layer. Okay, this is also application layer, your app is also on application layer. So what you are doing, so what connection pool does, so whenever your application starts, connection pool already made a connection with the database. Okay, let's suppose you put the configuration, build 100 connections before starting an application. Okay, so connection pool will always maintain 100 connections. Okay, and what it does, whenever application wants some connections, it will go to the connection pool, not on the database. It will say, hey, give me a connection, I want some data. It will just give you the connection, and you can ask for any data. For the data, you need to go to the database. Okay, from the connection pool. Okay, so this is how connection pool works. Now let's understand how in Java or in JDBC, how the connection pool, the process of connection pool works, and the control flow from the application to the Postgres. We will understand whole. So this is, okay, let me remove my photo. Yeah, now you can see this is our application layer. Okay, we get a connection. Data source is something which maintain the connections actually. It make the connection through the driver manager. So driver manager, what driver manager is doing, you ask for the get connection with the help of the URL. In the URL you provide the database link. Let's suppose in the case you give, in our case we have given Postgres. So with the help of that URL, it recognizes the driver. It sends the request to that driver. What driver does, it create a connection, a kind of session. Okay, what from this layer, it creates a socket. Okay, it went to the SocketFactory. SocketFactory what does? SocketFactory opens a network connection to the database server. Okay, and what socket does? So socket send the SQL queries to the database directly. Okay, on the wire, this is the last layer which is sending the SQL query from the application. Okay, now the database execute the query. So this is the database connection with the help of connection pool, and the close request goes from the application to the connection, and from the connection it's sent to the socket. Socket is like whatever the socket you are provided, like suppose in our case it is localhost 5432. Okay, so it disconnected, it closed the connection from that socket. So let's understand what happens without a connection pool application. There is no, like there is data source, you can see na, we will not have a data source. We will directly asking for the connection. We are connecting through the driver connection, then SocketFactory connecting to the socket. Socket means sending the data to the wire. Then close request is also going directly to the socket. So this is how it works. Now we will jump to the code base. So here is our basic application. What we want to do, we want to benchmark connection pool and without connection pool test. Okay, so we will create a method. Let's call it user repository connection pool. Okay, So what we will do, we will make the executable static void main. Okay, here we will write our connection. So we will say running without connection pool, and we will run it first. Let's say let's make a method actually, measure void measure performance without connection pool. Okay, so this is our method. What we will do, we will just do a try catch block, because that will be needed later. What we can do, we can have, let's suppose we can get the connection. First of all, create the connection, and then execute the query. So first of all, let's make a method to create a connection actually, to get the connection for it. So let's call it public void create connection. Okay, and it will return the connection actually, not the void connection. And what we will do here, we will just return it java.sql.DriverManager.get connection. Yeah, so what are the things we needed? db url. Okay, let's define these things, like first of all db url, then db user, and then db password. So db private final string db url, and the third db user, and the last is private. We need the password also, string db password. Okay, we have this thing in the application.properties. This is the url, your username and your password. Okay, so we have these things. We will pass here first of all db url, db user, db password. I guess this is should be fine. Get connection. What is it happening? Oh, it will ask to throw the exception. Okay, we will throw the exception also. So this is our create connection. So first of all, we will get the connection. Connection is equal to create connection. Okay, we have the connection. Okay, then what we want to do when we have the connection, first of all, the thing that we want to do is to execute the query with the help of the connection. So we will execute the same query for both the connection, like with connection pool and without connection pool. We will execute the same query. So we'll also define query public void execute query. Okay, so how we will define, we need to take the connection also actually. So we will take the connection and we will run it. Let's suppose in our case means we have the query, I guess we have the same query. Let's copy paste the query. We have the connection SQL query. Okay, I'm copying both the things from the previous lecture, and connection pool I'm just pasting them down. We already have the connection, we don't need the connection. And we have the prepare statement. We are preparing the statement with this SQL query. We are having the result, we are adding the user, we are not returning anything actually here through SQL exception. Okay, we need to add the catch block. What is happening? Add catch clause. Okay, add it. Okay, maybe it is not working. Throws SQL exception. I guess it is fine now. Now users we have, and we are adding the user. This is the same query we will perform. So execute query is the method that we will run. So we have the connection. Now what we will do, we will check execute connection, execute query and connection. But one more thing, like we want the time also, like how much time it took actually. So we can do one thing actually, execute query and measure connection, measure performance without connection pool. Here itself I will get the time. Stand is equal to stand dot now. Okay, and when the query will stop, I will say start. Instead of start, I will call it end. Okay, and here I am printing out time taken without connection pool. Okay, and it will be duration dot yes between yes start to end whatever the time 2 millis actually, yeah, and this millisecond we have taken. Okay, let me call this method, so let's make it static. No worries. Create connection, we can also make it static. Execute connection, let me run it. DB URL, okay, private final static. Let me run it again. It is taking around, without connection pool, it is taking 457 ms. Okay, that's nice. So now what we will do, with connection pool. Okay, system with connection pool, and we will make a same method with connection pool. We will just make it now. First of all, what we need, we want to create a connection. Okay, so what we will do, we will create a connection pool first. Okay, so first of all, let's create a connection pool. Hikari config, so config is equal to new Hikari config. Okay, and config dot set JDBC URL. Yeah, there is an option. JB URL, we will pass config dot set user username. DB user, we pass config dot set password. We will set the password. Then what? Okay, let's kept it down. Set maximum connection pool size. Let's assume it is 10 only. Let's config dot minimum idle connection also. Let's assume it 4. Config dot set idle timeout. So we are also setting the timeout. Let's suppose 3000 ms should be enough. Maximum lifetime, let's leave it. It's fine. So we have all the Hikari config we have. We can make a connection from Hikari data source actually. So where the data source is equal to Hikari new Hikari data source, and here we are passing the config. So you have the full data source. Okay, now what we want to do, where first of all let's assume it like first of all we want to measure the time also, so let's initialize it first only. Instant start is equal to new instant dot now, I guess, yeah, and in the end what we will do, we'll say instant dot now and we'll call it end. Okay, so we have the data source. From the data source we can ask for the connections. Connection means we can get the connection and execute the query. We'll do the same thing what we are doing here. Okay, so we get the time, we copy the paste everything. Okay, better, let's paste everything. Instead of creating the connection, we will ask for the data source, get connection. Okay, and with connection pool actually, and it is everything is fine, query is same. So let's run it now, how much time it is taking. So time taken without a connection pool is 532 ms. If you can see, time taken with connection pool is 263 ms only. Okay, so if we increase the size, let's increase the query. Where is the query statement? Performance, execute query, and oh, it is for one connection only. Okay, we haven't done it yet. Nice. So let's assume we are making this for the 100 connections. Okay, then what will happen? So let's assume for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 100, I plus plus. Okay, and what we are doing, we are just making the connection here. Connection dot is equal to connection and is equal to create connection. Okay, when the try catch block finished, means it will close the connection. So how it works? So this is one thing. We will do the same thing for the connection pool also. So we are doing the same thing. We just remove it and data source or get connection, and we will remove it, and now we will run it for the 100 queries. So we will see the difference, like how much difference it will generate. So we are running it, running without connection pool. Without connection pool time is 3206 seconds. If you see the connection pool time, it is 373 ms only. So it is around, if you see, means approximately it is 9 times. So you can see the difference. So that's why people always recommend to use the connection pool. Like this is no brainer to use or make a connection without connection pool. And in today's world, every driver supports this connection pool things, because connect because making a connection is a costlier operation. So thank you guys for watching this video again. We will come up with next very exciting videos, and we will see what is happening inside JDBC and JPA. Keep watching, keep subscribing. Thanks guys, bye.